I didn't know that I had a choice in becoming a lawyer. My father would bring us downtown every Sunday to rotate files, and that was a big occasion for us. Then we'd ride down to the levee, that was a big occasion for us, and then we'd go home. And then my first summer job was in his law office after I sold newspapers. And I was a receptionist when people said yes ma'am to me on the phone, and I knew I had to stick with it long enough to get over that. I was with an excellent firm, but I had thought that my practice, my relationships, my clients would serve me best if I moved to Bryan Cave, because Bryan Cave, out of St. Louis, had established a Washington presence, a Los Angeles presence, and was well on its way to a London presence, a New York presence, and elsewhere. I thought that that was the type of informed perspective that I wanted to bring to my clients in St. Louis.
Walter's an incredible strategic thinker and has amazing vision.
I've lived here longer than most people, and I know the opportunity, and I can see how people really have interests in common. I think that Grand Center is still dealing with its fundamental confusion surrounding it. Is it a real estate development, or is it a cultural and arts community which happens to have real estate around it?
Walter worked very closely with Vince Shamel, got Vince Shamel, who was then the mayor of the city, to back Grand Center, got Richard Gaddis to be the first director, and really supported it. And once Grand Center really got on his feet, Walter backed away.
The staying power of Grand Center, and that the fundamental assets that are there structurally and culturally, it will be successful. And then there's been the additions of the Pulitzer Foundation, and I'm proud of my participation, our firm's participation in developing that extraordinary building.
When the designs for the building were first produced, he said, well, as long as you're excavating partially a lower floor, excavate the whole thing, because you can't go back and do it later. And of course, we have filled every square inch.
Tadao Ando and I saw eye to eye on having a basement. And I think as a Pritzker Prize winning architect and I should have more conversations.
Another thing that Walter has done for the Pulitzer Foundation for the Arts is, from the very early days, he pushed us to put energy and money and thought and time into our website.
It was easy to give web advice on the Pulitzer board because it didn't take much to be the leader of the web. No disrespect to my fellows on that board.
He has been very instrumental in the Plant Science Center from the early days. Monsanto is one of our partners, along with Washington University, Missouri Botanical Garden, University of Missouri, University of Illinois. And I've always viewed our center as part of a region-wide effort to do plant science.
We all just knew, look at these assets we have in the plant and life sciences and the commercial interests we have here. It's all there.
I don't think we would be as far along as we are without Walter.
It started when Harry Ornest came to St. Louis, and the Civic Progress companies and others got together to help Harry install himself appropriately, buying the arena from the family that had the arena before, taking out Ralston Purina, and of course Harry was a bit of a character himself, so not one to stop wanting things for himself and for his family. Things got a little out of hand, so again represented the group in taking over the blues franchise from Harry, and then building Kiel Center and moving the blues to Kiel Center so that we had that anchor in downtown St. Louis. And that morphed at about the same time into the desire of the region to get back into the NFL, where it belongs. That was a complicated area to put together a stadium plan and to go after an expansion team. Ultimately that failed, but the Rams did come to St. Louis, and we still have a great relationship with the Blues. My first summer job was at Broadway and Olive. My first job out of law school was at Broadway and Olive. I'm still sitting at Broadway and Olive, looking at the arch out my window every day, and it's just time that we do it.
The project we're working on here at the Arch today is to really reinvigorate the park. It was laid out almost 50 years ago, and a lot of things just weren't thought through properly. And of course we had the interstates come along, and things could be so much nicer here if we'd finished the project. And Walter Metcalfe has stepped up and taken the lead in this undertaking. We wouldn't be anywhere as far along as we are today without Walter's great leadership.
I was there for the topping out on October 28, 1965, and I plan to be here on October 28, 2015, when we connect with downtown and we connect with the river and across the river.
Walter, to me, strikes me as somebody who's been an able, articulate advocate, working behind the scenes, representing people.
Seeing the different proposals was eye-opening to me, because I had thought in briefing the design teams, myself, Tom Bradley, our great superintendent, the technical advisory group, and everybody else, we thought we told them such a simple, straightforward story, but their interpretations were really interesting, how they saw taking the 10 design goals that we gave them and applying them to the arch. I think the jury made the right choice.
Walter has been showcasing St. Louis throughout this project. He takes great pleasure in showing all the great treasures. He loves so many of our places here.
We gave the design teams a tour of Forest Park, of the Missouri Botanical Garden, of the east side. They know where Cahokia Mounds is. They know where the Great Rivers Museum is in Alton now. They know where all these pieces are, and they say, why don't you all bring these together? This is really phenomenal, and that's part of what we will do with the arch.
Walter has a extremely wry, sometimes sarcastic, biting sense of humor, very perceptive.
One never knows when that wry sense of humor is going to come out, and it's always a wonderful challenge and delight.
My most embarrassing moment with Civic Progress was my first moment with Civic Progress. When I walked into the room and I sat where a Civic Progress member is supposed to sit. I was a mere advisor, and I was quite well reminded of that.
Walter's great passion is St. Louis.
He understands the law, of course. He understands St. Louis and how it works. But more important, I think, he really cares about St. Louis.
He loves this city. He loves this region. Again, this is sort of his time in history to do something great.